Welcome to the Human Advantage podcast, where culture is created, not claimed. We've been talking about culture for years, but most companies still reduce people to check boxes that are supposed to define an entire human being. We hire for familiarity, we reward sameness, and then wonder why teams struggle. The problem isn't talent, it's the system. And this podcast is about changing that. Diversity beyond checkboxes, culture add over culture fit, and how people think is the real differentiator. Because people aren't categories, they're the advantage.
Love it. Yeah. Celebrate, Erica. Here we go. We're joined by one of my favorite people, honestly, Erica Woods today. She is a veteran. I'm going to say a humanistic HR leader, a transformation coach with more than 25 years experience doing this, but really building true people systems, true inclusive cultures. We were introduced by a friend of ours, Eric Jensen. Shout out if he's when he listens to this. And it was one of those rare first networking meetings where we chatted and it just clicked. And now that was a couple years ago, and now we meet monthly, and she is my sounding board to all things people, culture, crazy ideas, and couldn't appreciate you more, and super excited to get your perspective out to the world because it is so needed, Erica. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Adam and Tia. I'm so
Yeah.
excited to be here. It's awesome. And I agree, right? Our first meeting, it was like, where have you been? Like, how have we not been talking my entire, right? Like how, I remember saying to Eric, like, why did it take you so long to connect me to Adam? It's like, he's dope. And we're on exactly the same page. And I can see so
Yes.
many possibilities, right?
Yes.
And
I love
yeah,
it.
so yeah, we get
I
to talk a
love
lot.
it. The
Yes.
one thing we have not talked about though, which I well maybe we did, and my ADHD didn't
You
remember,
probably
but well, hey, we probably did. What originally pulled you into people and culture work? What got you started in this field?
So I fell into it.
Yeah.
I was working for a company that was like the precursor to Match.com,
Yep.
and had been brought in by a friend, and they grew to a size where they needed human resources. He basically walked in and said, we need this thing. We're probably in violation of a lot of laws. I actually think you'll dig it. Here's the company credit card. Go do it. Right?
I
And
love
you're
it.
in.
I love it.
Right? And,
I love that.
and I, I sat down with some people to ask them about it and realized that it aligned perfectly with who I am, right? As
Hmm.
long as I could do it
Hmm.
my way, right? I
Yeah.
love the organizational pieces of HR, and
Yeah.
I'm a sociologist at heart. And so anything that allows me to like investigate the human condition, and not so much the why we do it, but how can I help us do it better? Right?
Yeah.
Because humans are going to do humans, right?
Love it. Love it.
If you're frustrated by humans doing humans, you're gonna be frustrated all day, every day, right?
It's so true. It's
You have
so true.
we get it.
Yes.
Right. I know.
Yeah.
I have so many. I have friends and colleagues who call me like, I don't understand why this is happening, and I'm like, because humans,
It's human.
right?
Yeah.
Like this
Yep.
isn't
Hmm.
about the why. Let's focus on the how we can make it better, right? And
Yeah.
how we can dive in and help, because our reality is that too many people don't actually understand their own why,
Yeah.
right? So if we can
Hmm.
help humans understand their own why, then we can help them go stratospheric. And if they go
Yeah.
stratospheric, then our companies go stratospheric, right?
Yeah.
And that's really what I've dedicated my career to, is helping humans understand their own why, and helping them to then do their best work and live their best lives from that
Love it.
place, right?
Love it.
I
Right. All
love
those
it.
things
Absolutely.
we talk about all the time.
And you talk about, how to make it better. And when it comes to culture, we hear this all the time, right? We always want to talk about how do we make our culture better? And there's so many different initiatives and programs and different things that get put into place. In your experience, what's something that companies thinks improves culture, but it actually harms it?
Whew. Um, okay, I'm about to say a really, really controversial thing,
Oh,
right?
please
Why
So
you're
do.
we
here.
are
That's why you're
already
here,
right,
Erica. That's why we're here.
right? Like, but diversity programs,
Hmm.
Yeah.
right? Nothing,
Hmm.
nothing is more painful to an organization than deciding that it's a program, right?
Mm.
If
Hmm.
we're not, and I've said this, anyone who knows me has heard me say this, right? It's one of the hills I am definitely going to die on, right? Diversity
Yes.
needs to be a part of it. It needs to be a part of the structure of your organization. If it's not a part of the base, and if you're not looking at diversity in all of its facets, right?
Okay.
If you're just going, we need four brown people and four females and six
Yeah.
gay people and six people who, stand on their heads on Tuesdays at 3 p.m., right? Then we'll have diversity.
Yes.
Ta-da! Right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
You're always going to have a problem, right? And if
Yeah.
you think those problems are solved by an ERG where people who look alike but don't think alike are all getting together to gang up on your company, right? Like
Yep.
Yeah.
these things, and I know I'm oversimplifying it all, but in the interest of time, I'm oversimplifying. But if we're not foundationally sitting down and go and saying to ourselves, okay, we have to have a fund for when we get sued because every company gets sued for something
Yeah.
at some point,
Mhm.
right? Can we make that small and make the foundation of this organization
Yeah.
inclusive of all people, of all ways of thinking, of all ways of being at the
Yep.
Yep.
base? And then who we get, people will be attracted to the fact that we actually aren't concerned about their skin color
Yeah.
or their
Yep.
gender or right, because nothing makes me happier than sitting in executive teams where they're not asking me about how Black people will feel about something,
Yeah.
Right.
right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
because I've
Well,
been in this business long enough to have lived that
it's so
for a
spot on,
long
right? And
time.
when you build it from the foundation, that's how you increase representation. You don't increase representation through data points and checkboxes. That doesn't increase representation because you're increasing a skin tone, but you're not increasing lived experience, diversity of thought, cognitive diversity,
Yep.
all of those things. Like I touched on that in our first podcast, where I'm like,
Right.
I've seen companies with neurodiversity hiring programs or other programs or ERGs, and I'm like, when you continually treat people like others, then you continue to exclude others, right? If you're creating things separate from others and everything's a separate program, you're trying to
Yes.
policy your way into diversity. And to me, you can't policy your way into diversity. I think to that, like so many companies approach policy or approach diversity through policy, through programs, through all of these things. If you were to, in your perspective, like what does true inclusion look like to you? Like how, like in more action, like how do you think through that when you're working with your companies?
The way I think, I start with the industry that I'm in,
Hmm.
Mhm.
right? That's the first place.
Yeah.
As an example, one of the industries that I've been very, very fortunate to work with is the open source tech community,
Yep.
right? And it really is a community.
Yep.
And it was built by humans who had enough financial abundance to take computers apart
Hmm.
Mhm.
and put them back together, sometimes for good, sometimes not, and to take off the software
Yeah.
and install, take off a proprietary software and install something else, right? That was not Black, brown, and most gay people in 1982. It
Yep.
Yeah.
just wasn't. That's the
Yeah.
reality, right? So if you're looking for someone who is senior in the open source community, people of color are going to be very few and far between, right?
Mhm.
We've come into open source later. My kids found Mozilla when they were still kids, right? I've been
Yeah.
using Firefox for about 30 years.
Yeah.
And we were weirdos, right? Their friends would come over
Hmm.
and be like, why
Yep.
doesn't it say Google,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, what
Yeah.
is this thing,
Yeah.
right? how does it, and can it work the same as the other things, right?
Yeah.
But we were weirdos. And I remember Gabriel asking me if he could take the computer apart. And I was like, child, that computer cost me real money,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? As a
Yeah.
single mom, I was
Yeah.
like, no, you can't take
Yeah.
that computer apart, right? I will see if I can find you one, but
Right.
Not that one.
But not that one. Yeah, 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 yeah.
a desktop.
Yeah.
And so, but that, so I start with the realities of the business,
That makes sense.
right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then build from there, from our foundation, right? If this is who we are and this is what we want, what does diversity look like in this organization,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Because
Yep.
it's going to be different for every organization. If I'm working with a nonprofit that manages healthcare, I'm going to have women are going to be a natural draw to
Mm,
that, right?
yeah.
I worked in a tech nonprofit that had a woman head. And I remember one of her managers telling me that she had the most diverse team,
Yeah.
right? I've got the most diverse team that, of the whole organization. She just had a bunch of women who looked like her and acted like her on the
Yeah.
team, right? And I was
Yeah.
like, this isn't diverse. It's just,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, right, right. And there was no diversity of thought, right? And
Yeah.
right, everyone just kind of flowed, and flow's lovely, right? But flow for in that space doesn't bring in innovation. It
But
doesn't bring new
yeah,
things.
and I think you hit on such an important point that so many people view diversity and diversity initiatives and everything as a static approach that is the same, and every company should have X amount of representation, and every company should have every data point. And over the last 10 years, we've seen every large enterprise produce their diversity reports that we are 30% African American or 40% Asian or whatever that is, right? But
Totally.
to your point, like this isn't a static thing. This is a very
No,
fluid thing per industry, per environment, per company
per
that could
company.
represent different diversity initiatives, and each one has to be looked at for their segment for that. And I think it's such an important piece that honestly,
Yeah.
which is why I love having you here. I don't think it gets talked about enough. I really don't. I think
No.
it gets seen through a very static lens, and people, one thing
Right.
we all know, people are not static. We're not. Everybody's fluid and different.
Yeah, every single human. And
Yeah.
that's the reality, right? And
Yeah.
if we're not ready to face that, and and look at the reality of the fact that in the tech industry you do have more neurodiversion,
Hmm.
right? And we've shifted the way we want people within the industry to work,
Yeah.
right? There was a time when engineers could just put their heads down and write code,
Yeah.
right? And now we want engineers to be social and to
Hmm.
engage with, with senior management and to do all of these things that we never prepared them for,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Yeah.
Right? We've never trained them to do any of those things. We told them they were perfect
Yep.
sitting at their computers writing code. And now
Wow.
we've shifted the whole industry around them, and we're mad because they're not caught up. And
Right.
I'm like,
Or in order to move up, you need to be a manager. In order to move up
yes,
in the company, you have to gain
yes,
the social skills. You have to you were the
right,
best IC engineer in the entire company, but now because you were so good, you have to move into something that you're not good at.
Yep. They
absolutely.
were not
Yeah.
comfortable
I
with.
coach
Right.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I coach them all the time,
Yeah.
right? And it's a heavy lift, right? And there's so
Mhm.
much burnout amongst people who aren't inherently even ambiverted. I'm not even going to go as far as extroverted, right? But
Yep. Yep.
who aren't inherently ready for how much energy it takes to engage with humans
Right.
Yeah.
and to see your team as individuals and engage with them as individuals, right? We all have kids, and we know
Yeah.
you can't talk to one the way you talk to the other.
Oh
Right?
no.
So we get that naturally,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
We get
Yep.
that if I'm
Yeah.
engaging with a different human, I have to
Yeah.
engage that human from a different place. But if you've never engaged And then suddenly you've got seven different personality or seven different humans, which means like 85 personalities,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes,
Depending on
yes,
the day, the weather. Yes. Yes.
yes,
Right? What happened when they got made their coffee that morning?
Oh,
Right?
yeah,
oh
There's
yes. Yes.
right?
Yep.
There's so
yeah.
many things that go into making a human who they are in every moment,
Mm.
right?
You know, this is a really great point. How can leaders create environments where each unique individual feels safe bringing their perspective, their diversity of thought, and their authentic selves to work, where they don't
Ooh.
have to mask?
Yeah, see, this is the challenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the truth of it, the truth of it is that those leaders have to show up authentically,
Mm-hmm.
right? Right. Every team I've worked with, and y'all can pipe in if you ever watch this, but every team I've worked with, the thing that I have said to them is, I need to know who you are so I can help you,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
100%.
Because knowing who I am is how I help myself. And for each one, that was a different thing. And for people who didn't get that, my team wasn't their team, right?
Yeah,
For people who needed a cookie cutter way and to be afraid of the manager because hierarchy is scary and all of these things, I'm not the person for you. And that's
yeah,
okay. Let's find you your person,
yep,
right? Because
Yep.
I want my teams, I want people to come to me and bring me all the stuff, right? My dog died and I'm not myself this
yeah,
week because I've had that dog for 16 years.
yeah,
Okay, right? How do I make a donation in your dog's name to some charity that helps animals? Right?
mm-hmm,
Let me get in this with you. Let
yeah,
me
Yeah.
get in this with you and
yeah,
let you know I'm here holding space for this thing. And what can we take off your plate so that you have the time to grieve your dog,
yep.
right? How do we do that?
And
Right? But
that it's not a policy thing. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's a
exactly,
people
it's the
thing.
human thing,
Yeah, and HR
right?
is
I think that
human relations, right? Human
Exactly.
human.
first. You
Human
can't,
resources,
I think it's
human
turned
are
into
people,
policy resources in a lot of
right?
ways, and you're bringing it
Right.
back to no, this is the human
It's
element
about
of this.
humans. The
Yes.
policies are static,
Yeah.
right? If you
Yes.
look, I can sit you down and tell you every single policy, procedure, handbook, whatever you need, right? And we can update it once a year to match all of the state
Hmm.
things.
Mm-hmm.
And for every single human thing, we are dealing with it on a case by case,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. And being
Yeah.
Every
okay
one.
doing that. I think giving people permission to adjust
Hmm.
is where we need to start.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Right?
100%.
And but I also think we've got to stop waiting for permission because
Yeah.
HR in
Hmm.
particular, people ops, whatever name you want to call it. I
Yeah.
always called myself the janitor because I felt like I was on cleanup most.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Right. That may not have been my official title, but that's how it felt most days.
Yeah.
Right. So,
That's what it was. We'll go with it. It's authentic.
100%.
right. But we've got to stop. We've and we talk about this a lot more now in our circles. We've got to stop asking for permission and
Yeah.
just get in it
Yeah.
and start telling our C-suite, right? This is what we're doing to take care of your humans
Yeah.
because they are your greatest asset. And
Yeah.
if we're not caring for them, and if you don't see the importance of caring for your humans, right? I just had to get into it with one of my CEOs who wanted to do bereavement leave as unpaid, and I'm like, ew, no,
Yeah.
Yeah. Not happening.
right?
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
my literal text to him was like,
Yeah.
here's what I think of that. Ew,
Yeah. Yep.
no, right?
Yep. Yep. But it's
Yeah.
that's that honesty and bluntness that you're able to, because you've built the relationship, and that's the
Absolutely.
thing, and that's why, I mean, you know our business, we've went through
Yes.
that through and through, but that's why we always start with the leadership profile, and it's the same thing you do is,
Yes.
hey, here's a job description, fill my role. Well, that job description didn't tell me who you are as a leader and how am I supposed to successfully build your team if I don't know who you are as a leader and how you lead and how you, and it's all, everything's paper to paper systems these days. I can't, if I can't build a rapport with the leader, the same thing with you as an HR leader, how are you
Right.
supposed to have those direct conversations to say no, right? Okay, same with
Right.
us. If you, just because you love this person on paper, I need to be able to tell you they are never going to fit in your environment. And you are never going to be able to change your leadership style to evolve enough to fit to where this person will be successful. They have all the
Yep.
skills. I'm not going to argue with you there. They're skilled as
Yeah.
can be. They're one of the most skilled people I've ever seen on paper and in person. But that skill doesn't equate to your environment. And that's the piece
Yep.
that we got to have these hard conversations with leaders similar to you, but you have to build that rapport first. And you don't do that through policies or paper.
Exactly.
Love it.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
I think of the human beings that we work with and this case by case as the actual house, right?
Yes.
The policies and
Yes.
all of that is foundational because it
Yes.
gives you, it's the don't cross on red. It's
Yep.
your, right? That's your guidebook,
Yep.
right? If
Mhm.
if you walk down the street at 2 a.m. and the street is next to a mountain, you will probably see a coyote. This is your guidebook, right?
Yep. Yep.
These are the things to know to do, to know not to do, right? And yes, there are laws, there are rules, there are regulations that you must follow in any business.
Of
Mhm.
course.
And our business, People Ops, has a million shades of gray on its
Yep.
rules,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if we're prepared to be nuanced and have those hard conversations and ask a leader, right? I also recently had a conversation with a leader who was like, well, if we give, I actually had 4 of these in 1 week. It was kind of bizarre, but it was basically, if I give this person this much money, do I change their title? And in their
hmm
mind, that was a straight line.
Yeah.
hmm
And I was like, wait a minute, that's not a straight line. That's a ball of yarn that a cat has taken around, 17 blocks,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
there are so many nuances to that. I'm just going to give you the first 4,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
talk about this and this and this and this first. Oh,
Yep.
yeah, I hadn't thought about those things. Okay, well, what about when this happens and in the event that this happens and what happens here if this happens? Okay, this is a bigger issue for me to think about. Yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. But
Yep.
it's that we have to stop waiting for permission to speak up and show people, right? Show the people who are our leaders
Yeah.
that they've got to start thinking about this because at the end of the day, it's always humans.
Love.
Mhm.
Love it.
Always.
Love it. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I was look at the name of the podcast. We couldn't agree more.
No, I get it. Yeah.
You know,
You saw it, huh?
we're there.
Yep.
We're there. We're there. I love it.
Yes.
I love
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. Absolutely. This is fun.
I know. What? Trust me, this will not be the only time you're on this. I can promise you that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I enjoy our conversations so much because we not only talk about the human factor and the business factor, we also have so many great conversations about neurodiversity and the ways that
Yeah.
we're not engaging,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right,
Yeah.
with neurodiversity in ways that lift it up,
Yeah.
right? That
Yeah.
that remove all the old icky dumb stigmas that we were talking off camera or
Yeah.
before we started about the like having like an IEP counselor with people at work, right?
Yeah.
Right, and it's like that's there there are people who will always need that,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
right? And the vast majority of us, right? Because at this point, I think I had lunch yesterday with one of my dear, dear, dear beloved sister friends.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how, like, when we look at ourselves, right, when we look at the diagnoses, right, and
hmm
all of the traits of someone with ADHD or autism or these things, we can see ourselves in all of it. and we
100%.
can see all of the people we know in there. And if we had been being diagnosed in the 70s and 80s when we were kids, it
Mm-hmm.
would be a 90%
Yeah.
diagnosis,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
For
Yeah. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
it would
Yeah.
just be the norm. And you and I talk about this all the time, Adam, but
Yeah.
like we've got to get there to get people away from thinking that something is wrong with them.
Mm-hmm.
100%. Well, it's old
Drives
medical
me
model, right? Of it's something to be
right.
fixed instead of it's something to be harnessed and it's something to be celebrated. But I
Yes.
think that's across,
Yes.
honestly, that's across the board. And that's why I love our conversations because we're not afraid to ask the why, right? Like, why are we labeling people to check boxes? Why are we labeling people to this? And why are we designing for this? And you and I
Right.
and Tia aren't afraid to say, well, what if it wasn't if you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got, right? Like what
Yeah,
if
which
we
I always
change
get.
this?
Yeah.
Yeah, like what if we
Yeah.
actually change the system, like as crazy as that sounds, right? And like what
Yes.
if we move past check boxes, right? Like what if we,
Yes.
obviously you and Tia both check the box for African American, both check the box. You guys could have had more different upbringings than
Yeah.
like but you're funneled into the same category, which doesn't
Exactly.
tell anything of how you show up to work and how you are and how
Right.
you live. And like that's the
Right.
same with the neurodiversity side. Just because I'm ADHD doesn't mean somebody else has the same randomness or chaos or like it's we're all our own unique breed, right? And I think that's
Yeah.
it's such an important thing that we need to put out into the world to understand that
Right.
we're all different.
Right.
Which is the original term of neurodiversity, which I love. It's a biodiversity. We all see the world differently. We all live
Exactly. We
differently.
all
We all process differently, you know?
yeah. No, absolutely. And we get lost too often in the story of one experience, right?
Yeah.
The Black
Yes.
experience,
Yeah.
right? And I was joking with someone. I'm like, well, a friend of mine, I was like, well, you're white, so you got four whole experiences. You could be like, you're right.
Yeah.
Like you can
Yep.
be rich, you can be ghetto, you can
Yep.
be like rednecky, you can be
Yep.
right, like
Yeah.
but right, and I'm like,
Yep.
you got a whole selection. I get one.
Yeah.
I get
Yeah.
one experience, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't begin to touch the reality of all of my experiences, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
And
much.
the second I open my mouth and talk about the fact that I've lived in 4 countries, 5 if you count Philly, I think of you as a different,
Yeah.
dearly
Yeah.
Philly, but
Yeah.
you're different. And right. And but that I've lived all over. I speak multiple languages, right? I've got right like this
Hmm.
even the span of my children's ages. I've got one who's 40 and one who's 12 and one who's 37, right? Like
Yeah.
all of these things give me a perspective on the world
Mm-hmm.
and a perspective on the way the world works that is
Yes.
different from someone who grew up in LA, stayed in LA their whole life,
Yep.
or grew up anywhere,
Yes.
stayed there their whole life, speaks English because America, tries to
Yep.
force that on us as the thing, right?
Yep.
The US, not the Americas.
Yeah.
The US tries to force that on us as a thing,
Yep.
right? And we don't get the opportunity to be, as you said just a minute ago, Adam, celebrated for the fact that we bring everything, all of
Yeah.
these very multitudes,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
why
100%.
not celebrate those multitudes in the ways that they show up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and it's
Especially in work.
inevitable. It's going to carry to work, right? Like you can't not bring a piece of who you are to work or that experience
Yes,
and what you've gone through. And
Right.
like you could say, like
yes,
we're not all robots yet, right? Like even if
Yeah.
it, like yeah, right?
Yeah.
We'll see. But
Really threw that in there too.
until that day happens, like you can't treat everybody under the same umbrella.
Yep.
It's just not the way the world works. Okay. All right, I see we could go on for hours, Erica. We're gonna cut
Of
this
course.
ish, but I want a lightning round with you real quick, and then Tia's got a fun
Okay.
question at the end. So, all right, lightning round, one sentence, couple words each.
Okay.
One corporate buzzword you'd love to kill, because I know there's a lot. I know there's a lot.
Good phrase.
Oh, wow. I'd actually love to kill the whole self to work thing because I've yet to
Ooh.
meet a company that actually lives that.
Ooh.
And if we're not going to live it, we need to stop saying it.
I
Oh,
love
I
it.
like that.
I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah. I
right?
love that. I love that. Okay. That's a great one. That is a great
Yep.
Yeah.
one. Uh, one culture, I'm kind of on that buzzword kick right now where I'm not loving it, but one
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of a little, one, we'll say culture practice, more companies should adopt.
Brick and mortar or remote?
Doesn't matter.
Hmm.
Great question.
That
Um,
is a good fire back though.
Yeah.
yeah.
You could
Uh,
go one of each. You could go one of each.
okay. Um, for brick and mortar, the idea that somehow you have your eyes on everyone,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
right?
Interesting.
That
Yeah. Yeah.
people get more done when they're in the office.
Yep.
That
Yeah.
cultural story that brick and mortars keep,
Yeah.
right? That puts so much pressure on their humans,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Yep.
It's just unnecessary, right?
Yep. Yep.
For remote companies, the the allowance of space, right? Because we're
Mm,
remote and we're all in our homes, there's this idea that if you're 2 minutes late to a meeting, you must be doing something wrong,
Yep.
right?
yeah.
And
Yep.
so we get this, we all are so nervous about like, it's like, oh
Yeah.
man, my computer
I gotta log on.
needed
Yep.
to
Yep.
update something and
Yeah.
Yep.
right?
Yeah,
Instead
you
of,
can't say traffic was bad when you're at home, right? Or I got stuck in traffic or this happened. Yeah, it's so true though.
yes,
It's so
right?
true. Yeah.
Right? And so we get
Yeah.
locked in culturally to this, like, we start at 9 a.m. and it's like, okay, can we ease
Mm-hmm.
up? Because,
Yeah.
because I want to get a glass of water. I'm in back-to-back meetings because I am remote, right?
Yeah.
And so every meeting, and people have gotten away from adopting that, the thing where Google will shorten your meeting so you have a few minutes,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
But yeah, that piece.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. This one's tricky for me, but I love your take on it. One thing employees wish leaders understood.
That they're human. That they're
Mm.
human.
Yes.
And
That's such a good
and
answer. So
Yep.
simple, but
right?
so good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I know like on its face it sounds pedantic, but it's
No, it's
not,
so true.
right?
Yeah.
It is the root of the problem of work at the moment,
Yep.
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
We've leaders, because there's so much more freedom when you're a leader to kind of set your own schedule and do things the way you want to do
Yeah.
it. We forget, right? That
Yeah.
you're the people who are actually keeping your company running, the people who are making you the most money, the people who are doing the things,
Yeah.
they're humans.
We're humans.
Yep.
They're
Yep.
humans,
Love
right?
that.
Yeah,
Love it.
that's it. Cool.
Ah, always
This is
insightful.
fun.
I know. I know. Let's
Mhm.
keep going. Okay, last question to close us off. I
Yes.
am always preaching about how we are so much more than a piece of paper, so much more than a resume could ever tell you. So I want to know something that is essential to who you are, who Erica
Oh,
is, that would never show up on your resume.
ooh, ooh, I love that question. Hmm.
Ooh, we stumped her finally.
The
Yep.
essential to who I am.
Yep.
But you wouldn't be able to tell from that piece of paper.
I believe with every single fiber of my being that every single one of us is amazing.
Mm.
That
Hmm.
every single person I've ever worked with, every human I pass on the street, every single human came with a spark of something that is theirs to give to the planet.
Love
Oh,
that.
And I feel like my work is not only in doing my version of that, but so much of my work is in helping people find it and then take off.
I love that. I
That's
love
it.
that. It's so funny just to close on that because it's such a powerful statement, but if I heard that in an interview, right, I'd be like, oh, Erica's the one, let's hire her. Like, I
Right.
love that outlook.
Right.
But to get you to that interview, there's no way. If you put that on a piece of paper, it would look like a cliche, corny
Yeah.
Yeah.
tagline, right?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't feel
Absolutely.
authentic when it's written on paper. But when
No.
you speak and you have this dialogue beforehand, you're like, no, I genuinely believe you believe
Yeah.
that because of how you speak and how you carry yourself. But you're right, that would never come through
There's no way.
eloquently at
There's
all.
no way
Yeah,
to write it, right?
yeah,
No,
That doesn't
no.
sound either hippy dippy or woo woo or weird or just like, okay, this chick, what's
yep,
she about, right?
yep, yep.
Right?
Yeah.
You and Tia, that's you and Tia's yoga coming into
Yeah, it is.
yeah,
Right away.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Thank
love
you.
it.
Oh, this
I
is
love it.
this has
No,
been
thank
so
you.
fun.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
promise everybody listening, this will not be the last you hear Erica. I'm going to force her to come on more often because she just provides so many good insights that I think the world needs to hear. And hopefully we continue to do that through this podcast. So we love it. Thank you, Erica, for joining
Thank
us,
you,
and
Erica.
we will do it again for sure.
Yes, we will. I look forward. You won't have to force. I will show
Okay,
up when
good.
it's
Good. All
We won't
right.
have time like normal though, but we'll
Yes. Yes. Thank you, everyone. All
Thank
right.
you. All right. Be well.
Cheers.